Welcome to the Initium Softworks Learn More, Achieve More webinar series titled Process Automation for Tax Documents and Data, How to Speed Up Your Tax Process. During this webinar, we're going to explore how different types of technology can help automate your manual and repetitive tax processes. And if you look there on the right-hand side, there's Initio. Yeah, he's our automation bot. He reminds you to stick around for your free offer at the end of this webinar. So before we begin, let's take a look at some housekeeping tips. First of all, for housekeeping, we've got a couple things that are going to happen. Number one, we got free offer at the end. During the webinar, we will be polling you throughout this webinar to get your feedback. So there will be questions on the screen we're going to ask you to respond to. We're going to do speaker introductions. We're going to talk about understanding what this need really is in process automation. We're going to go through a couple of examples of use cases. We have our live demo. Before the demo, we're going to talk a little bit about what the demo is going to entail, do the live demo, and then after the demo, we're going to talk about some of the technologies that were used. We're going to talk about the benefits of process automation as well. Talk about a little bit of who we are at Initium Softworks. We'll open up the panel for question and answer, and then our free offer at the end of our presentation. So let's begin with our guest speakers first of all. We got Dave Gazinski, and that is myself. I'm a principal owner of Initium Softworks and a software consultant as well. I've been with Initium Softworks and in the software industry for over 30 years, configuring, training, doing sales, and a variety of other solutions ranging from intelligent data capture, document management solutions, enterprise content management, process automation, on and on. Our other presenter is going to be Colin Sorrento, and he is a principal owner as well over here at ISW. He is the Director of Intelligent Data Capture, Robotics Process Automation, and Process Automation for ISW. He brings 10 years of experience in designing, building, and implementing document capture solutions and automating business processes around documents and content management systems that they are stored in. Collins has worked to automate digital capture for a variety of businesses and industries in finance, lending, accounting, tax, casino, leasing, investment banking, and the list goes on and on. He definitely brings a wealth of information to the table here. Before we get into our webinar, I want you to reflect on this scenario. And then I'm going to ask you a question using our polling option on the screen. All right, take a look at this guy here for a moment. Think of all the repetitive tasks you do on your computer, like filling out forms, duplicating data, moving files, copying data from one ERP or accounting system to another one, or from one spreadsheet to another one because they don't communicate. Now, multiply that pretty much by every employee in your company. What a time-consuming and boring exercise this must be, and guess what? It probably happens every day in every department by every employee. Now, based on this example, I want to ask you my first question. I'd like to see how close this resembles the environment in your organization. On your screen, you're going to see our first polling question, and I'd like for you to go ahead and answer it. Question: how much does this sound like your organization? Not at all on the far left, a lot on the far right. Click the star rating, click your submit button, and then we'll compile the data and display it on the screen for you. Let's see what our totals look like here. Oh, wow. An average rating out of 5 is 4.3. So there is a lot of similarities to the example that I shared here as well. So this is a really good start because, it makes you a good client for considering process automation. As we move forward, I'm going to be talking about some use cases illustrating how process automation can be applied. Now, the first example is not here because I don't even want to show you anything. I want to tell you the first example of process automation could be something as simple as printing your tax forms. Logging into the software, find the relevant tax period, print the returns, uploads these to your client portal. It can send an email out after the document's been printed. It can create an Excel spreadsheet of all the items that have been processed. That is what process automation can do, as simple as something as printing forms. Let's get into our first example here. Exporting, gathering, and managing data. Process automation can automatically extract data from various sources like PDFs, spreadsheets, and the like, invoices, balance sheets, P&Ls using OCR technology. It logs into the tax software with your credentials. You don't even have to do anything. It does it automatically. And as we go in our demo, you're going to actually see the system do exactly that. It can map the data into the relevant fields in the system. It can create a report, email stakeholders when this process is done, and also sends reminders if necessary for follow-up, which could be scheduled, ad hoc reminders, or whatever. Our next example is reviewing trial balance and convert data to a tax basis. Some of the technology can review accounts to ensure consistency with prior year. It can notate changes. It can analyze account changes. It can assign book basis accounts, tax basis. It can map book basis accounts for account numbers. It can reconcile intercompany transactions. And all this is by utilizing multiple systems. Another example, preparing returns. It could receive a form, create a new client in the tax software, whether it's an ERP or tax software or a CRM. It extracts the client's details from the tax form. It can create an Excel spreadsheet and compiles the data, and also may create calculations. It could create a complex report, email stakeholders when done as well. And this is all the technology that's happening behind the scenes. Once it's set up, it's done and it's running. The next one, we're looking at accounting for tax. It can book current tax entries, calculate deferred tax. It could book deferred tax entries. Another example, address tax inquiries and upload forms. It could receive questionnaires online, extract the client's details and data, enter it into the tax software, save the questionnaire into a file folder, create an Excel spreadsheet with a list of the questionnaires processed and their status if necessary, and send email notifications out once the questionnaire is processed. Another final example, which really applies in any and every one of these, it can run reports. All transactions by the technologies that are used are tracked and registered in the system's history, so you can produce reports either scheduled or ad hoc for reference or compliance. You know how important that is. The conclusion here, the bottom line of all these examples is that you could see it's not about the specific form, task, system, or data, because the technology can be successfully applied in many instances. Consider too, that this can be applied to other processes in your department, not just tax, or in your organization where any manual steps are performed. So let's get specific now, move to the live demo so you can see how this works. After which we'll talk in a little more detail about the types of technologies that were used in each case of the demo. So let me introduce our technology expert, Colin Sarmento. Collins?
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for the overview as well. So today we're going to be looking at 3 different demo examples. The first example, we'll be taking a W-9 tax form and extracting data from that form and using it to create a new vendor in your ERP or accounting system. The second demo we'll be looking at is taking a tax form 5500, extracting all of the data, and auditing it to a source of truth. The third demo we'll be looking at is taking a tax form W-2 and automating the data entry for personal tax accounting. So the W-2 will come in, or multiple W-2s can come in, and it will combine them all into a single spreadsheet along with all the other tax forms submitted, and automatically create that 1040 for tax filing. So just some of the technology and activities that are being used. Not all of these are being used for each use case, but they all are being used. So the first one is recognizing data. So it's using a technology called intelligent data capture to recognize and extract data in key fields from those tax documents. And then it can consolidate the data using RPA from financial systems into a structured format. And then also using robotic process automation, it can reconcile the data and reveal deviations and errors. Once this is done, we can email a report with the information, attach the documents that were provided to all the stakeholders. So we're going to take a look at our demo now, our live demo. All right, we're going to start off our demo today looking at the IDC, or Intelligent Data Capture technology. This technology is used to capture, categorize, and extract key data from documents. We'll start out looking at the verification station, which you see on your screen right now. Typically, documents stop at verification station for one or two reasons. The first is uncertain characters. Whenever the program is uncertain about a character, it marks it as an unreliable and flags it for a user to look at. The second is when a document rule is broken. Document rules offer additional means of checking captured data. You can use rules to specify certain restrictions that apply to the data in particular fields. There are multiple types of rules, like database lookups that can be used to validate data against ERPs and other line of business applications. Checksums that can be used to not only validate that the sum of a set of fields equals the total, but can also be used to validate that what was extracted correctly. Because if all of the items add up to the total, we know that it was extracted correctly. You can also use your favorite .NET language and create a custom script rule that can accommodate any logic you need. So as we look at the verification station, on the left side of the screen, you'll have all the documents that were uploaded in the system. We have some W-9s, we have some W-2s, and a tax form 5500. There are multiple ways to get documents into the system. We can monitor an email account or a folder within that email inbox and pull emails and attachments into the system. We can use our network scanner or a desktop scanner to scan documents directly into the system. Or you can drag and drop documents into the system if you have them on your desktop or in a folder. We've also oftentimes used RPA bots to go into another application, download the document, and then pass it into the intelligent data capture platform. Oh, and the best part is you don't even have to worry about file types. So we can take any document file type, whether it's a PDF or an image or an Office file type, and ingest that into the system for data capture. You don't even need to worry about separating the documents into single files or using separator sheets. The system's smart enough. You could scan these all in as one document, and the system's smart enough to split them into separate documents and determine what documents those are, and then extract the data. You'll also notice next to one of our documents over on the left side that there's a red flag. And this indicates that this document needs to be looked at by a user. In our center panel here, we actually have the image that was scanned in or uploaded. And then on our right side, this contains all of the data that was being extracted. So this is pretty amazing. You know, if you look at our right side with our form, you know, for the W-2, you know, there's a little over 17 fields. But for the tax form 5500, there's over 100 fields if you include the schedules that could come along with them. So imagine the time saving this could help with by automatically taking that data, extracting it, and putting it into an actionable format. Another thing you may notice when we come to the document that's flagged is that there's some rule errors down here in the bottom. So those rules will let the user easily know what fields need to be fixed or need to be looked at. All right, so let's go through the documents as a user would. When this batch came in, you see there's the red flagged one. Well, that's the only one we need to look at, theoretically. And in a production scenario, we wouldn't even have these other documents stop at verification station. So if we take a look at why this one was flagged, we can see that the SSN field was not found. So we can see that maybe for some reason or another, maybe this was a different format that we haven't seen before, or maybe it couldn't read it because of image quality. It wasn't able to find the social security number. So we can easily come out here and just click on the social security number. And what that does is it flags this to go into a machine learning feedback training loop so that the system gets smarter the more documents that are sent through. So next time when this document or this format comes in, it knows how to identify and find that SSN. You'll also notice, and you may not be able to see it, but you'll see that employee address down here is checked and it wants you to look at it. Well, the reason being is because this T is in red and it was not confident that it extracted the character correctly. So it just wants a user to come in and just hit enter to verify that. So that's how you would walk through it as a user, but I'd like to go through and show you all of the data that's being extracted from the other forms. So if we take a look at our first tax form W-9, you can see we have a W-9 from Dunder Mifflin. We have all the items extracted. We also have a W-9 from Prestige Worldwide with all of the data extracted. And then if we get down to our tax forms for our second use case, we have a tax form out here for Dwight Schrute from Dunder Mifflin. And all of the data has been extracted correctly without any need for validation. We have another tax form out here. This one's for Schrute Farms, also for Dwight Schrute. And another tax form, another W-2. This one's for Dwight Schrute's Gym for Muscles. And all of the data has been extracted correctly on this one as well. And then our last W-2. This is for Sesame Avenue Daycare Center for Infants and Toddlers. And again, the data has been extracted correctly. So we'll take a look at our last tax form, and we can see that this is a tax form 5500. It's got multiple sections. So we have the 5500 section. You can see all of the data being populated in blue. That's all of the data that's being moved over to our form automatically. So again, think of how much time your users could save without having to go in and enter all 100+ fields for your tax form 5500, or validate it against another source manually, one field at a time. So these are all the fields captured here. We have our form 5500, we have our schedule D. So as you can see, as I navigate through the fields, no matter how zoomed in I am, it's going to take me to where that field is. I don't have to scroll around and find where the highlighting is. As I navigate through, it navigates through the image as well. So now that we've validated that everything that was extracted correctly, we'll then submit this to be processed down the line from by our RPA bots. The second part of the demo we'll dig into is going to be our RPA side. So those documents that we just sent through were exported into 3 different folders. So you can see we have our form 5500 with our form 5500 information for each of the different sections. So we have our regular form, then our Schedule D and Schedule H. We also have our W-2s. So there's multiple W-2s out here, and there's a Excel spreadsheet containing the information for each W-2. So as you can see, all of the data has been populated into this Excel spreadsheet. You can also see that it put it into a subfolder using Dwight Schrute's name. So we can use any of the data extracted to help file this somewhere. So even if you're not, planning on, doing anything with the Excel and you're just trying to organize your documents, we can scan in the data and use key fields to file those, or we can put them in an ECM as well. And then we have our W-9 information. You can see that there's one W-9 Excel out here, but what's different about this export than the others is that we're adding multiple rows. So the more W-9s that come in, the more rows will be added. So now that we have this information into an actionable format, we can use robotic process automation, or RPA, to take action on those. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is using those W-9s and taking those W-9s and entering them into an accounting system. So I'm going to go ahead and start our bot. Our bot is running right now. There's no clicking involved, I'm not typing anything. It's automatically filling everything in for me. I don't have to worry about forgetting my password. I don't have to worry about typing it in multiple times, but it's going in, it's creating a vendor one by one based on what was provided in that spreadsheet and the tax forms that were processed. So imagine the time savings. In this, we're looking at a W-2 or a W-9 into an accounting system, but this can be done with any tax form or any document into any other application or any other system, all using robotic process automation, and it's all automated. So as you can see, our Dunder Mifflin vendor has been added, and our Prestige Worldwide vendor has been added, and now we didn't even have to do anything. So our next 2 use cases, they're not as fun to show, but the outcome is just as great. So I'm going to go ahead and run those. Let's open up our mailbox over here. So let me update my folder. So you can see that we have Form 5500 validation email that has come in. So as you can see here, Form 5500 for high yield fund is valid. Please see the attached Form 5500. Warm regards, text the tax bot. And it also attached a picture or the PDF of the Form 5500. So you can see, if you need to review it or look at it, you can do that as well. We can also attach the data or a spreadsheet containing the source of truth that we compared it against. And using that, we can, if it wasn't valid, then the user could go in and compare both, and we can highlight the fields that aren't valid. All right, so next to our last demo, which was the 1040. So we processed all of the documents through an intelligent data capture, and then it released them into an Excel spreadsheet. And then the robot picked it up. So it picked up all those W-2s for Dwight Schrute. So if we open up that document, we can see that now we have a filled out tax form 1040. You can see it's got all the information needed. It's got the W-2 information, all of the W-2s added up, and any other information that was provided on those W-2s that needed to be filled in. And if you go over to our W-2 tab, you can see this spreadsheet has multiple tabs. What that bot did was it took the data from the W-2s, populated it for each of the employers for Dwight Schrute. We can do spouses as well. We can add as many different tax forms as needed. They're all available down here in our sheets. And then what it does is it outputs this 1040 to be used for, you can use it for filing or electronic filing, but it all is done automatically. So that concludes our live demo. So now I'd like to take you through the technology that we've used in this demo. So our success comes from blending technologies for our clients to achieve the best process automation results. It's like an art form. First, let's define process automation. Process automation uses blended technologies to automate repetitive and/or complex business processes. Think of these technologies as a way to augment and automate repetitive tasks. The blended technologies utilized for today's demo consist of intelligent data capture, which we looked at, and that's what we use to extract the data from the documents. We also used RPA, a technology that uses software bots to automate repetitive tasks and manual processes. And we also used digital workflow to combine the two technologies together. An example of some other technologies available that we've used for some of our other clients are machine learning and artificial intelligence. We talked a little bit about the machine learning that was in the intelligent data capture platform, but this can be used in multiple other areas. We also use a technology called natural language processing, or NLP. This gives the system the ability to understand documents the same way as a human would. So not just looking for certain words, but it knows the meaning behind those words, and it can look for synonyms, and it can understand the context and understand, what paragraph. This is the terms paragraph of the contract. There are a lot of things that can be done by combining these technologies. So like these blended technologies, this process is only successful by the blending expertise. You're the tax experts. We are the technology experts. In your industry, you collate, process, and analyze large sets of both structured and unstructured data to provide better tax and business outcomes. Tax departments can no longer keep pace by hiring more people. You must augment people by automation so that you can keep up with changing tax laws and requirements. Now I'll turn it back over to David.
Thanks, Collins. I want to reiterate something that I shared with you as you kind of reflect back on the demo that Collins went through. As you can see, it's not about a specific form, a system, data, document, or anything like that. The technology can be successfully applied in so many different instances. Just because the examples were W-9, W-2, 1099, 5500 form is really irrelevant. These are the things that can be used. The palette of those different technologies can be applied in so many different ways. So really kind of gives the opportunity to think and kind of expand a little bit of your thinking and your concept of how this technology is applied. Good job, Collins. Thank you. So now, everybody, knowing what you know, what you've seen about how process automation can be applied to manual repetitive tasks, I'm going to ask you another quick question here. So on your screen, you're going to see another polling question. So knowing what you know, how much time do you think you could save applying this process automation? None on the far left, Far right is substantial. Go ahead and make a selection there. Click submit. Okay, let's see what we get here. A 4.7. This is really good. It's a great number because it does reflect a couple things. Number one, that what we've been talking about and the examples that we used and the demo itself really does give some concept and content around the value that this brings. Awesome. Good job, everybody. As you have already been thinking about the process, the impact, things we've been talking about, we want to review those benefits of incorporating process automations. You see on the first one here, we gain competitive advantage by applying process automation. You gain the operational efficiencies in your organization that helps you beat your competition. You gain a competitive advantage. The next one is that you automate repetitive tasks. These recurring and frankly boring tasks are consistently completed on schedule every time. And the best part is the technology does not take a lunch break. It works 24/7. Another benefit, as you already seen, it integrates with multiple systems, whether it's a new system, a legacy system, standalone system. The technology can bridge the gap. So there's no more back and forth. You saw the system log in with Colin's username and password. You saw the system do it. Once you tell it what to do, it does it every time. It eliminates errors is the next one. And errors, we know that the problem with errors is that they happen. And they happen because we're human and we are fallible. The other half of the problem is that when there's an error, you have to correct those errors. So there are 0 errors with the technology, and you don't have to worry about going back and doing the rework that comes along with that. Validating data. It automates data validations from any source without any manual intervention. And bottom line, as you could probably already tell, it increased cost savings. And you get faster execution of routine, repetitive tasks. I'm going to go back to something that Collins said as well. And it says, you can no longer in your department, actually in the tax department, this is our focus here, but you know what? Any place in your organization, you can go back to this and say, you know what? You can no longer keep pace by hiring more people. You've got to consider augmenting people with automation, because as this first bullet on this screen says in the upper left, you gain the competitive advantage. A couple of quotes I think are really good. Forrester put a report out there and says that companies with advanced automation programs will obliterate, not merely beat, but obliterate the competition. And a Xerox quote I really like here. 80% of small, medium-sized businesses see automated tasks and processes as important to their survival. The bottom line is we're not telling you something you already don't know. And if you really weren't quite sure about it, by the time we've gotten this far in this presentation, you already know the value of what technology can apply. Hopefully, we've given you a little bit more context as it applies to your business and your organization. So we looked at some use cases. We did a live demo. Colin shared the technology that he used in that live demo. We talked about the benefits here. I'd like to boil it down really to this next slide. We need to task technology for the routine. We need to task our people for their talent. The technology is not intended to replace people and your users and your employees, but it helps get the job done more efficiently, and it redirects your staff for more of why you hired them. Now, a little bit more about who we are at Initium Softworks. We are the renewed commitment to a long-term positive relationship with the software services division of MTS Software Solutions. And we are a trusted software and consulting resource backed by over 30 years of client digital transformation. We work in concert with our clients' IT and business teams to architect an integrated system. Our team improves our clients' current line of business systems and significantly enhances their critical operations. Some of the other things that we do, our clients choose us because of our approach in delivering solutions based on industry-leading content management and business process automation technologies and our award-winning customer support. So you can see some of our partner technologies that we have, a couple that we applied today, bottom left, Abby, Abby incorporated the intelligent data capture and the OCR, optical character recognition technology to bring those forms in, pick that data off, put them in the fields. That's what Abby does. And the other one we did is in the middle of your screen down at the bottom, Electronique, great RPA solution provider for us. Electronique provides that robotics process automation. A lot of the things when Colin stopped presenting and he clicked the button and it went go, that was Electronique. That was their RPA solution that we used for that process automation. Now we're going to open it up for some questions. Please use the Q&A option to submit your questions to us. Is there a limit to the systems that the bots can talk to?
No, yeah. So there's not a limit to the systems the bots can talk to. If it's a web application, it go in through the web user interface. If it's a Windows application, it can go in through the Windows user interface. Even if it's a legacy green screen application, we can go in and use computer vision to navigate through that application. So there's no limit to the applications we can, work with.
Good, thanks, man. Here's another one that someone submitted prior to attending here. It says, hey, can a bot take data from a tax form and add it to QuickBooks?
That can definitely be done. It's very similar to our first demo where we extracted data from the W-9s and then went into the accounting system and added the vendors. So rather than it being a W-9 and vendor onboarding, we can take your tax forms and go into QuickBooks. QuickBooks is actually one of our biggest integrations, to be surprising, mainly because it's, if you use legacy ways to integrate with QuickBooks, there's not many ways to do it. They don't offer that API integration, or it's not easy to integrate with QuickBooks. So RPA has been a big driver and very helpful to QuickBooks integration.
And I know this was one of the ones we were working with one of our clients last week, and this was a question that they had. Is there a limit to what data can be extracted? You showed field to field, but what about things like tables?
Yeah, so we showed field to field, and we also showed pretty much kind of fixed form. With tax forms, they're pretty standard. There's not many variations. There are some variations, but not many. But if you get into other document types like invoices or contracts, we can extract data from those. Invoices come from thousands of different vendors, tens of thousands of different vendors. So they all have different formats. So the system's smart enough to be able to extract data from different formats, different document types. And it's also able to extract data from unstructured document types like contracts. And that's using that NLP or natural language processing that we talked about earlier. And it has the ability to understand the different paragraphs of the contract and then extract certain key data from those paragraphs. We can extract anything from structured to semi-structured to unstructured documents. And on the field side, we can extract anything from your labeled fields to tables to what we call repeating groups. You may have seen that in our tax form 5500. There's a few, they're not really in a tabular format, but you would consider them pretty much a table. At least the output looks like a table. So we have the ability to extract the data from those repeating groups.
Another question. I know, and I can reference this here, is we're looking at on the far left-hand screen, I think it was your first screen that you had up when you were displaying the technology, and it had the documents listed in the thumbnails that were on the left-hand side, and you had a list of documents there. Is there like a limit to the number of documents that the technology can be applied to?
There's not a limit. We were working with some customers on the lending space, and they have over 300 different document types all in one project. And the system's smart enough to not only identify what those documents are, but they scan in their loan documents in a single package. So there could be hundreds of documents in that one PDF, thousands of pages in the PDF, and the system will go through, split up those documents into the proper document types, and then extract the data from those document types.
One last question here, high level. What does a project rollout look like?
So yeah, our project rollout, it starts with, either the customer will come to us with a problem, or a customer will come to us and say, we know you can use this, but we're not exactly sure where. So if they come to us with a problem and they think RPA is a fit for it, more intelligent data capture is a fit for it, we'll do some requirements gathering with them, make sure that we think it's fit for RPA or intelligent data capture. And then after we do that type of requirements gathering and determine if it's fit for RPA, Then we do a feasibility analysis where we go in and play around with all the applications and make sure that it can truly be done. And after that's done, we start our design and development phase and build that out and then go live after that. With RPA, it's a very quick to production project. And that's one of the great things about RPA is how quickly you can integrate or take a repetitive task and automate it.
Can you put a timing on like a simple project? How long, and a more complex project, how long to roll out?
A simple project I've finished in a few hours, and a complex project that was multiple systems, close to 100 different fields, lots of clicks. From start to finish, it probably took a month because there was lots of requirements gathering that needed to be done. There were a lot of systems that were going to be touched. So we had to map all that out and then build it.
Collins, thank you very much. And folks, if you look on your screen, there's an issue over on the right-hand side. It says stay over here for your free offer. And it's that time now. Here's your free offer. As our way of saying thanks. And the option you see here, you got a little link here. And in the QA section too, you're going to see a little link to access a checklist of 7 ways to avoid failure of RPA implementation. So the checklist of best practice will help you avoid some of the RPA failure by providing some guidance, like having a project owner or being certain that you select a good process to automate. So whether you choose us as your partner or another resource, to us as consultants, it's important for us to give you a roadmap to success. Sometimes success is coupled with knowing what to avoid, and that's why we think this is a very valuable document. So in addition, you will also have access to the recording of this for your future reference. But wait, there's more. As you can see on the screen, we have our next Learn More, Achieve More webinar series. Coming up in September, we have this is the AP Automation series. In September, we have applying the IDC to automate document and data capture. In October, we have 2, utilizing eForms, document management, workflows and reporting, and the third one there, incorporating RPA for accounts payable. That's in October. And then in November, we have analyzing and improving AP processes. So these are the next ones that are available coming up. We hope you'll be able to attend those. And now our final offer. So you are eligible, as our way of saying thanks, you are eligible for a 3 free 30-minute consultation with us at ISW. During that consultation, very similar to what Collins was talking about, we'll look at a process that you're considering automating and consult with you regarding the feasibility, the potential for automation. To get this started, on your screen, you will see a URL link to our website to complete your request for a free consultation. And once we receive your request, we'll contact you to arrange the consultation. Thank you for your attendance, your participation, and we hope to see you at our next webinar series, Learn More, Achieve More.